your weight, by the way, should fluctuate from day one to day two. And if you see yourself fluctuating, and that's normal, but the rule of thumb is your fluctuations should be about 2%, within 2% of your current body weight. You look at your macros, each gram of protein is 4 calories. Each gram of carbs is 4 calories. Each gram of fat is 9 calories. So no matter how clean you eat your calories, there's still calories. So if you're not focusing on whether it's macros or calories, then you can overeat on those clean things.
Welcome to the Health Fix podcast, where health junkies get their weekly fix of tips, tools, and techniques to have limitless energy, sharp minds, and fit physiques for life. Hey, health junkies. On this episode of the Health Fix podcast, I'm interviewing Heather Deba. She is the founder of HD Body Academy. She's helped over 22,000 women regain control of their metabolisms and achieve ideal weight. How does she do it? Gosh, I'd like to know. Guess what? She's going to tell us in the podcast. But one of the things that really struck me about her program is that she's working through the things that mess us up when it comes to our metabolisms. And she has a different approach. She's really looking at what is it that you need to help restore your metabolism, because most of us have dieted and over-exercised and stopped eating and fasted and done all these things to our metabolisms that need a little repair. So instead of the quick fix approach, she's working on the repair approach. And interestingly enough, you would think it would take a long time. She's actually turning things around in a few months. She talks all about it in the podcast. So I want you to think about metabolisms a little bit differently. In my previous podcasts on my own, I was talking about fatty liver. And I think this is something that jacks most women up, because we start to get in that habit of like quick fix foods. Like, I'll just have some popcorn for lunch and call it good. Or I'll just have a banana and apple. I'm still eating healthy, but it's all carbs kind of thing. And I think this is what messes with us and messes with our liver. And then our metabolism gets thrown off. Yes, microbes can get off, all these other things. And I think this is what is at the core of Heather's program. So open up your eyes a little bit to like, maybe we've been doing things all wrong all along, and perhaps there's some things we can do to fix it. So let's introduce you to Heather Deba. Heather Deba, welcome to the Health Fix podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and helping us ladies try to figure out our metabolisms, because it is one thing, like I mentioned before, I do not do in my office because I'm over it. I'm over it. I hit a point in my life where
it's a hard topic. It's a struggle for every single woman. Yeah.
It is nuts. It is nuts. And of course, we all have our blind spots. And, I'm on like my third coach now, and it's still wackadoodle. So we're kind of like, well, all right, throw it in, call it good. We will regroup, and I'll just keep chugging and figuring things out. So it's a great time for you to come on, because guys, as I said before, I literally gained 7 pounds in 3 days, and I'm trying to figure out what in the world have I done at this point, because I don't eat out. Barely.
Yeah.
We ate out one day. I literally had shrimp and asparagus.
Yeah. And a lot of women struggle the same. Jannine, I think a lot of women tell me all the time, I'm eat clean. I don't go out and I don't eat junk food. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do anything that is wrong. And why I'm looking at carbs and I'm literally gaining weight just by looking at it. So you're not alone. Hopefully, for our conversations, Jannine, I think a lot of women tell me all the time, I'm eat clean. I don't go out and I don't eat junk food. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do anything that is wrong. And why I'm looking at carbs and I'm literally gaining weight just by looking at it. So you're not alone. Hopefully, for our conversations, our listeners can get some insights, and hopefully this will help you as well. That's my passion. I love doing it. And that's literally what I do every day. So I'm really excited to talk about it.
I am as well. I'm as well. So of course, obviously you got into this because you had your own experience with trying to figure out your metabolism and spending lots of money on trying to figure it out. Give us a little background and like what are like how many things did you try? What are all the things that you went through and like what how did you figure it out?
Well, gosh, Jannine, I don't think I never really had a one turning moment where I'm like, oh, I went through such a traumatic experience or something heavy that made me decide to work on my health. I think I'm like just everyday woman
Hmm.
where weight gains start very slow and then, did something and going back and it's just a accumulation of moments where, oh, I don't like the way I look, or, oh gosh, I'm hiding the stuff I'm eating from my husband, or to the next moment where my kids are, yesterday was my 11-year-old's birthday. Right. And so we were, eating her cake and celebrating, and we had just gone out to Texas Roadhouse. I mean, if you've been there, you know how unhealthy that is, but it's her favorite restaurant. So we went and I ate all of their hot rolls and stuff like that. I came home, I was super, super duper full. And she's like, Mom, we still got to cut our cakes. And I was like, okay, I'll just have a small slice. And because I was just really full. And then she got teary-eyed and it was really interesting. She lied down. She goes, Mom, I want a hug. And I said, okay, well, what's going on? She goes, well, why didn't you share a cake with me? Why didn't you celebrate my birthday and eating cake? And I had said, honey, I want to. I ate a slice and it was small slices, but I was super duper full. She goes, oh, I just thought you're just watching what you're eating, like, you tell all of your lady friends and all of that. And I said, well, honey, that's like years ago. So, but then I realized what happened to me was the moments that normal women live through had a carry on effect on their children, on their marriages, on their self-confidence. And I can't tell you how many women I actually work with, and just because they lost weight and they still struggle with the after effects. Like, can I be maintaining for the rest of my life? And even though I lost weight, I still don't feel great. I still don't have the confidence back. And I thought if I lost 30 pounds, I would get that back. Right. And that's what I do every day. And I tell my kids, I said, honey, that's just me years and years ago. And, just last night, it just made me think as well. And I'm maintaining, I'm healthy, I'm eating everything I want to. I'm helping women to do that. So I think it's my transformation really comes from years ago where, I'm Chinese. I came to the US when I was 16. I gained 45 pounds in 8 months.
Whoa.
45 on a short Asian woman. That's a lot. Um, I've done millions. I mean, anything under the sun. I've done what Weight Watchers. I've done cool sculpting. I've worked out with trainers 3, 4 times, 4 years straight, 5 times a week with a personal trainer. I've gained a lot of muscles and didn't lose any body fat. That's when I realized, okay, that's a totally separate process in your body. So I've gone through a lot. I spent well over $130,000 over the years trying to lose weight and maintaining until I figured out like none of that matters. None until you actually can control your metabolism. As we age, as women, our hormones shifting, a lot of women going through, perimenopause. That's what I'm going through right now. So I understand that hormone shift and I have to actively switching and changing up my nutrition just to meet that need while I'm still consuming a lot of calories and going out to eat with my kids and family. So that alone is a long journey. So it's
Mhm.
not, yeah, it is, it's a long journey, but you have to learn that this is an entire transformation. It doesn't end here. And it just means when you're stuck, like you mentioned earlier, like, okay, I don't know what happened. I'm ready to throw the towel. But this is where you stuck and this is where you actually tweak.
Hmm.
Your body is constantly changing. So and now that's literally what I do every single day to help women to understand that their body, not just coaching, teaching them what to do. Part of it is really understand what your body really does and how has that changed and why that changed. And along with that change, how should you change nutrition as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, obviously, we've talked macros before on the podcast. There are macros. There's like my body doesn't like, as many carbs. It doesn't like as many fats. It wants more lean protein, and trying to figure that out. What is your approach? Is it actually looking at macros, or is it looking at types of food? Like how do you start figuring out, how do you ramp the metabolism up other than of course building muscle and those kind of things?
Yeah, so this is really interesting topic, and everybody asks me this question. Is like,
Hmm.
what's your secret? How do you get women
Yeah.
overeating 2,000 calories, 2,700 calories, and some of my women eating like 3,200 calories, and that's their maintenance. And how is that even possible? So, first of all, let's separate health and fitness for a second because they don't necessarily are the same things. So when you're eating healthy, you're eating good, clean food, your organic food and your grass-fed beef and all of that, what you're doing is you're creating cellular health. You're talking about having higher quality of organs, functions, and those kind of things, getting tons and tons of micronutrients in, right? That makes difference in quality. However, calories are calories. I don't care if you count calories. I don't care if you count macros. A lot of people don't understand that macros are calories, right? So if you look at your macros, each gram of protein is 4 calories. Each gram of carbs is 4 calories. Each gram of fat is 9 calories. So no matter how clean you eat your calories, there's still calories. So if you're not focusing on whether it's macros or calories, then you can overeat on those clean things.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I have ladies who's really fit and got on my program. She's like, hey, Heather, I just want to build muscles. Like, she's like, I can't figure out how to build muscles. I go to the gym 6 days a week, lift heavy. And because everybody tells me at age of 50, I like lifting heavy is the key. And I said, okay, hold on. Before we talk about that, let's talk about building muscles are separate process from fat loss as well. So what are you eating? So we looked at her food. Oh, absolutely the most clean diet I've seen in a long time. And I said, looking at her calories, I'm like, why are you eating 1,700 calories? That is super duper low for her. I mean, for any woman. And so we actually upped her carbs. We actually upped her fats. We actually lowered her protein, believe it or not. And then her body suddenly start responding like very quickly. And so, you have to look at rebuilding metabolism. You also have to understand, no, that is, to me, that's a foundation to no matter what you want to do. So back to your question. So should you eat clean? Should you eat like just focus on calories or macros? That's just part of it. You have to understand how this machine works. You have to have per se like a manual to this machine that you have. Most women don't understand that. So that's number one. And number two is that when we build, our fitness nowadays, this industry is focused so heavily on the toning, on building muscles, on a lot of things. And every woman is focusing on, like you're like, okay, I've gained 7 pounds over a few days. I don't know what happened. But at the same time, you also have to look at what, your metabolic rate is so individual to you, right? So how much of that macronutrients that needs to come in? How do you reverse it? Where you are right now, you might be eating clean, but your body might have adapted to what you have been eating for so long. And now it's in deficit, actually in the health deficit, not calorie deficit. Now your body is storing and plus hormones changing.
Mm-hmm.
And that all of that happens. So you have to making sure you're adapting up as well. So losing weight is calorie deficit, repairing metabolism, there should be no deficit. You should train your body to burn more. As you burn more calories, the more food you can enjoy, the faster the weight loss comes. Because, yeah, metabolic adaptation is just a whole different topic that
Yeah.
we can dive into.
Yeah, I definitely want to because I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in other folks as well, where they do up their calories and the weight goes up. So for example, earlier this year, I was working with a coach who he was like, yeah, you're eating at 1,500 calories. Let's put you up to 2,300 and let's see how you do. I gained like 15 pounds and
Yeah.
couldn't get it back off. And so then it was, okay, let's drop it back down. And then here I am now back at another,
Yeah.
1,500, which isn't uncommon. Like I've heard this all along. So,
Yeah.
for other people, I know that what my situation is uncommon. So of course I'm going to drill you on and be like, all right, so
Yeah.
what happened? What's
Yeah, so let
happening?
me let me explain this to you. This is mind-boggling for a lot of women. So like you are obviously doing a what so-called a lot of coaches call reverse dieting. And this
Hmm.
is such a popular word that is thrown around very loosely. Like so reverse dieting. So if in your case, you have been eating 1,500 calories for a long time. Okay. So I've used this examples many, many times, and I'm going to say it again. So here's the thing. Your metabolic rate works like money. So if you have been making $10,000 for your household every single month, right? You know how to budget that, right? And it's consistently coming in and you know how to budget that. Now, if you lose some of that income, your body, your household beginning, you're like, okay, let me dip into my savings, right? And let me keep on paying my bills, my mortgage, my car payments, my insurance, and all of those expenses you have. But if you don't bring your income back up, guess what you're going to do to your budget? You're going to lower that budget because your savings account is draining. Even though Stu has money in it, you're thinking, okay, I can't keep on spending that. It's already causing me panic. And so what happens is you lower your budget. Now your household expenses suddenly is lower. Not sudden, but it's adapting to your income. Now think about your metabolism, your food. It works the same way. So you did not eat 1,500 calories for your entire life. You ate more when you're younger, right? And so when you got into a diet, that's what most women do is calorie deficit, calorie deficit. And that's what's been drilled into our heads. So we lower that income, we lower that calorie intake, and now our body starts spending what? Fats. That's your savings per se. Eventually, if you don't bring that back up, then your body goes, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to hold on to 1,500 calories because I'm preparing. I don't know when I'm going to go through a calorie deficit again. So that's kind of your body has memories, has cellular memories. It remembers that. Now, what happened when you went to 2,300 calories? All of a sudden, you're gaining weight. Your metabolism has adapted. Your budget has come down to 1,500. So at 2,300, what does your body take that difference as? It's a surplus. It's an 800 calorie surplus on a daily basis. You should never, ever do a reverse dieting going up suddenly because your body has zero time to ramp up to adapt. And
Hmm.
that's literally what happened to your body. So now, but that's not mean, that doesn't mean that this is hopeless, right? And like you went up there. Eventually, if you stay at 23, number one, you don't know if 23 is your natural ceiling. Everybody's different. Some people will have higher ceiling, some people have lower ceiling. You don't know if 23 is over your natural ceiling. So how do you create? So a lot of the reverse dieting methods out there have no basis to that person's individual body.
Hmm.
So that's what happened to you. So now your only option, if you want to lose that weight, is to go back to a deficit again. But then we don't know where your current metabolic rate is settling at. Is it 1,500? Is it 17? Is it 16? Is it, 2,000? So you have no way of gauging. And that's really what happened to you. I think that's happening to every single woman who, after a diet, they may not doing a reverse diet, but they are doing a reverse diet in a natural way, meaning they go back to eating normal, but they didn't
Hmm.
realize their metabolism has adapted to a lot lower rate during their dieting process. And now they're going back to normal. The deficit now is even bigger. That's why we gain weight back so much faster. This is also why a lot of women say, hey, what I did before no longer works.
Mm-hmm.
My weight plateau, and I try to do more. I try to go out and, go work out even more. And that's why. And when it comes to workout, and I'm telling people like, well, if you're already having a low income and you go to the gym working out even more, that is in comparison, like the IRS came down on you and say, hey, you owe us a lot of back taxes and you have to pay us now. So you go so you have to take that limited budget and cut out a way to pay back the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
Working out when you're in the deficit for a long period of time and you're thinking adding on more, that makes your budget even lower. That actually can cause so many more problems. That's what insulin resistance starts showing up, that start messing with your thyroids, because your thyroids is your CFO of your calories, right? So yeah, there could be a lot of potential problems comes with prolonged deficit.
Makes
So
sense.
so that is literally what is happening to everybody's metabolism that
Gotcha.
nobody ever talks about.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and it's definitely something, crosses my mind. I guess the next question I have that I get a lot from a lot of folks is, okay, well, if I don't know what my metabolic rate is, I know there's some calculations and things to try to figure it out, and I know there's machinery that you could do too to figure that out. What do you advise people to do to kind of figure out where their resting metabolic rate is currently at?
So you can do a couple ways. Now you can go and pay $1,000 to get those fancy machines and testing your metabolic rate. But remember that is resting metabolic rate. And that
Hmm.
metabolic rate is only representing where your body is at this moment of time. Okay. That does not mean your body should stay here. That doesn't mean your body naturally requires this much. This only testing for where you are. Now, or you can do it at home and doing it for free. This is what I do with all of my clients. So when you start to tracking food, a lot of people tracking calories and they're like, okay, well, I track calories, but you don't understand what the data really actually mean, right?
Right.
So what you should do is tracking your food, not just calories, but your macros, because you want to see your distributions throughout your food. But then from there, don't judge yourself. A lot of women tend to do like, okay, I'm tracking. Oh my gosh, I'm not eating enough of this. I'm eating this too much of that. Number one, you have no idea whether you're eating enough or too little. So you have no base to judge. And so don't judge, just track and weigh yourself every day for like 10 days, 15 days. The only reason is this gives you a baseline of what your body is responding to. So if you're tracking your food for 10 days, let's say, and during this 10 days, your weight is actually on a trend to go up,
Hmm.
that means you are actually eating in a surplus, right? And if your weight, by the way, should fluctuate from day one to day two. And if you see yourself fluctuating, and that's normal, but the rule of thumb is your fluctuation should be about 2%, within 2% of your current body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, if your body fluctuates between 4 pounds up and down, that's normal. So based on that and see where your weight does. So if your weight goes down on a downward trend, that means you're eating actually you're in a deficit. But that only gives you where you are now. It's not where you should be. Those are two separate issues. So that's how you should do it. And I think this is time where most women track their macros. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "Hey, I track my macros, and I don't know why I'm not losing weight." And that's
Hmm.
because when you track those data, you have nothing to compare to understand what it does. But if you log your weight in every single day, then you will say, "Oh, this macros or this amount of calories makes my body go up. That means I am actually eating in a surplus." And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm eating at 1,200 calories, and then why am I not losing weight?" And I simply telling them, if we're taking medical considerations out, you're eating at your maintenance for right now. That's why you're not losing weight. So that's the one way. really the cheapest way and most accurate way to get your metabolism figured out for right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Curious, what is the lowest caloric burn you've ever seen someone have in terms of figuring out where they wouldn't gain on things?
Oh gosh, I have this. This is a really interesting question because I have had so many clients coming off of extreme diets and their companies, they're, having them eating their replacement products and it's not actually real food. And then allowing them to eat like maybe one meal with a palm size lean protein and a cup of vegetables. And they weren't even allowed to eat any fruits because it's considered sugar. But I think that's insane. But the lowest I've seen are 700 calories.
Wow.
700 calories. They're, about 20 to 25% of my clients coming off those programs eating 900, 800 calories, which is very, very common for what I see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so sad because yeah, they're not even eating food. It's like processed bags of I don't know what.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff going into those products that we don't know what's in there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. So, okay, so we figured out the lower end and you've mentioned higher because for a lot of women, I mean myself included, when I was told, okay, try 2300, I was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna I mean, already, unfortunately, I already had it in my head like this is going to be a disaster." Because sadly, and I think a lot of women are the same. I mean, we're programmed at an early age. I mean, I was programmed by my mom at an early age in high school. I would eat a box of cereal a day because I knew that was 1200 calories. I mean,
Oh gosh. Yeah.
it's disgusting, but you go back to it and go like, okay, so you hear the 23 and you're like, oh my God, how is that even gonna work? So I'm curious, like once you figure out, okay, someone's got a 700 calorie, like that's their metabolic rate.
Mhm.
How do you get to work with us to move things up? What kind of things do you guys do? Like what kind of challenges do you have for them? And what kind of challenges do you have as a guide here?
Yeah, so there are two different side of challenges. Number one, from a client's perspective. So let's go from there. So from a client's perspective, a lot of times is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the biggest challenge is they are so scared of eating food again
Mm-hmm.
because typically for those people who actually got to eat 700 calories or 800 calories to start with, this is not their first time to lose weight. They probably had tried multiple diets and different methods, and there just nothing is working. So when they found a method that actually works, and they just hang on to the idea is like, I can't eat fruits. And it's really interesting. I had a client that she was a surgeon. She came on, she has been to on a lot of programs, eating 1,200 calories. So she's like, I can't, I don't know how I can actually enjoy bananas. I love bananas. I'm like, well, why not bananas? Right. So, and she goes, because it's sugary, it's a lot of sugar. I'm like, well, you are supposed to eat so much of carbs. And so we worked on that mentality alone, and sometimes I'll do even a heavy dose. I said, look, when we work on your body, when we actually feed your body what it needs, your body can handle a lot more than just healthy stuff. So at some point, I actually just for the mental purpose of it, I actually even feed my clients sugar. And I say, hey, go eat the things you haven't touched for years. I'm not asking you to eat for like a whole week, and I'm not asking you to change your lifestyle. I don't condone that. I'm just wanting to prove a point to you that your body can handle this. So, like for every day, I would have them to eat a little bit of, M&Ms or the chocolate that they prefer. And they actually see, as long as it actually within their caloric, their metabolic rate, they did that. And actually, their weight is very, very stable. And this is where you shift your mentality is like, okay, 80-20 rule. If I'm eating 80% of healthy stuff, my body's literally can be processing those bad stuff. And quite frankly, we live in a culture or in an environment where we don't have control over 100% of our food, the quality of our food. It's impossible to get farm grown unless you have a farm in your backyard and, raise your own cow and stuff like that. You can't control. So you're going to have to let that go. So raising metabolism, to me, that is probably the easiest side of things. And for the clients as well. And struggle is that they hold on to this stress and this mentality for so long. And I have to literally rebuild and completely shatter their entire belief system. And to them, it's really hard,
Hmm.
really, really hard. And then from a coach's perspective, the hardest thing as a coach is where clients, number one, they don't want to put in the work. Like it's to them, it's like, okay, this is too much work. And but at the same time, saying like, look, if you don't put this much work in to truly understand, to track, to see what you're eating, to see what your body does, then how do you expect to not needing help anymore? The reason why I know what I know about my body is because I've done it for myself. I've done it for thousands of other women. So when I look at somebody's eating chart, like when they come in, I know immediately what their body change is going to be, how long it's going to take them to lose 15, 20 pounds, and what their metabolic rate is roughly going to be at, and how long they're going to be in a plateau for, or will they be in a plateau? I can see that from the get-go. And so that's really the freedom that I have right now for myself and for my family and for my clients. But as a regular, like a day-to-day woman, like you don't need to know anything else. You just need to study your body, right? So that's the hardest part, is where women have a lot of expectations, especially they've gone through programs and they are not willing to go through from the beginning and reset and not willing to shatter all of that. That's number one. The number two struggle is that a stress, like neuroplasticity in this world right now is a huge, huge factor, a
Hmm.
huge factor. A lot of women come to me, it's like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, but I said, well, here's your stress, here's this, and like you don't feel loved in your marriage and you don't feel supported by your family and all of that. And how do you expect to lose all of this and maintaining at the same time? Because who you are, your identity doesn't align with the end results that you actually want to maintain. There's a massive misalignment.
Hmm.
And that's really hard to build with a client, especially, for people who have done this a million times and they don't even realize that's a problem. You look at, millionaires who are millionaires, not because they made $1 million first and they say, hey, let me make $1 million first and then let me work on the traits, the characters, the skill set a millionaire needs to have, right? And it's always the opposite. The person who became millionaires always worked on themselves first. They start learning, they start building those habits and skill set that required them to become a millionaire. So a fitness transformation, I think in this day and age, is hand in hand. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to learn how to live in this busy, noisy, crazy, distracting world and still able to take care of yourself and find self-love and balance all of that together. Because without one or another, you're never going to be able to maintain. You may achieve the results you want for a short term, but not for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. You definitely have to be in for the game of figuring yourself out and trying to figure out like what is going on. And mindset, I do believe, is a big thing. And for a lot of women with this, and definitely Melissa Vogel, and we talked all about mindset
Yeah.
and kind of how to figure that side of things out. But I think for a lot of women, it's really kind of, you're saying, shattering your beliefs. And I mean, yes, I don't believe anybody ever gained weight or became diabetic because they ate bananas. Like
Yes.
it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Same with carrots,
Yeah.
same with tomatoes, like all of that makes no sense. It's more trying to undo all of the fats and all of the things we've been brainwashed with for
Yes.
so many years. And so, how long do people typically work with you to kind of undo these things? It seems like it would take a while.
No, actually, not really. So it really depends on the each person's individual goals. So if you're trying to on average, my clients work with me for about 6 months.
Hmm.
That's kind of my average. I have women work with me for 4 months. I have women work with me for over a year. So here's really depends on what you do. Like if you're thinking, okay, Heather, how long is that process going to take for me to go from like 900 calories to eating 2,200 calories and while I'm maintaining or possibly even losing weight? So just on a metabolic repair process depends on how low you're eating right now. So Jannine, for you, like if you're eating 1,500 calories, if your metabolism is at 1,500 calories, getting over, let's say your goal is to eat, let's say your natural ceiling is 2,300. Let's just say hypothetically that's the case. From 1,500 to 2,300, we're looking at about 6 weeks process.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time, your body metabolic adaptation happens really fast. And it doesn't take nearly as long as what you think. And then for somebody who comes in like eating 700 calories, 800 calories, I know it sounds insanely crazy. You have the repair process is a little bit longer. So the longest I've seen to get over to like 22, 2,100 calories depends on because we have to work with more of the metabolic damage in their body. So sometimes they have to sit at their top metabolic rate for a while for their body to literally say, I'm getting rid of this trauma, this stress, and I have new memories of how my body's supposed to function. Versus if I can get somebody to go from 700 to 2,000 calories, I could do that in 8 weeks. But the reality is, once I get to 8 weeks, that is just up ramp. And now their body has to be in a sustainable, constant caloric intake while their body gets used to it and having that as a new baseline. So that process is a little bit longer. So it really depends on how low you are at right now and how long you have been on a diet, how many diets you have done. But typically, 6 months program that goes from like you're eating above 2,000 calories and losing about 15 to 20 pounds. That's fairly normal range. And that's an average, what I see, what we can accomplish in 6 months. And
Wow.
beyond that, people work on their own. If you have 100 pounds you want to lose, this 15, 20 pounds is just the beginning. Right. And during this time, I teach my clients how to take care of their body, what their body's doing, literally holding their hands like, okay, so this is what your body, this is what you eat. This is how much you eat. This is what your body does. This is why your body does what it does. And here's what I'm doing for you. And this is why I'm setting your goals right here. And this is how you do it on your own. So this the entire process, my clients understand finally what those numbers really mean, what their body is really doing, what is good for them, what is not. One fits one person, it doesn't fit the other.
Right. Right. Like some people do better with a little more carbs, some people do better with a little more fat, some people do better with more protein, kind of a thing, versus the blanket statement of everybody needs a copious amount of protein or and
Yeah.
low carb. Got
Yeah.
it. Got
Yeah.
it.
So, and it's really crazy is a couple of days ago, I was posting one of my clients' process, and she was super proud of herself. And then out of nowhere, I got a DM from a past client of mine who was on my program like 3 years ago. And well, she messaged just like, oh my gosh, Heather, you have no idea how much you've changed my life. Like I've been able to maintain for years. And this client who had, is pre-diabetic, her A1C was higher, her cholesterol was really high. And, as we were chatting in the DMs, and she was like, I said, well, how is your A1C? How's your cholesterol? She's like, they're all in normal range. They're all in normal range because all of those things, the diseases we have, thyroid functions and your cholesterols, your cardiovascular and your insulin. A lot of people think about insulin resistance diabetes. It's a metabolic disease,
Yeah.
right? And so it can be reversed if you know what your body actually requires. So yes, and it's very possible, and it's really amazing to see women have taken what they've learned from me and really applies, and it's just how easy for them to do and be able to take their health to the next level. It's what I live for.
Yeah, it's awesome to be able to, know what you need to do, what you need to eat, how much, etc. And really, it sounds like it's just a study of the body, really. At the end of
Yeah,
the day, you're just
yeah,
experimenting over and over again.
yeah. And so a lot of women, we're talking about how bad sometimes we feel, when we're not seeing that success. is there, we're in the what I call the valley of despair is tends to be like, we don't know what to do. We've done so many things. And this
Mhm.
is where you can say, hey, I'm giving up. And I know that mentality, which I've done many, many times in the past. But, but every journey you go through, there is purposes. You learn something. I always ask my clients this. I said, look, any of the programs you've done, how many of them are actually you truly regret doing them? Like 100%. Probably not so many. Even if you fail, you learn something about yourself. You know, this is what I don't like to eat. You mentioned earlier, like, oh, some people learn, hey, I can only eat this much carbs, or I can only eat this much protein. You learn something about yourself. So just don't give up, and there's help out there. So I think it's, understandable. And I've spent well over 10 years just lose this 45 pounds and over again, until I figured out really nothing else matters, until I know how to really manipulate my metabolism.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely fascinating. It's funny, like, a lot of us docs, we all have the education on the metabolism and how to do it and work with it. But at the same time, there's blind spots in every single person. It is better to have a coach. Now, the other thing that I was very curious about is how do food sensitivities and those kind of things play into looking at metabolism? Because for me, the backstory I didn't give you is that I have sensitivities to so many different foods. It's bizarre. And I've figured it out by eat something and then the weight shoots up and I don't feel great
Mhm.
or my gut goes haywire. So I'm curious for other folks, like how does this play into things and how do you work with that?
Okay, so that's a great question because a lot of women experience like intolerance to gluten and some allergies, some sensitivities. So here's the thing. Food sensitivities and some of our digestive issues are highly connected to our neuroplasticity, our nervous system. And what happens is that what we don't realize is all of those conditions, yes, when you're eating food that you're already sensitive to, it's going to cause inflammation. It's going to cause your body to hold on to certain things. It's not going to progress as well. But if you have that condition, most people go to like Whole30, like they're trying to eliminate or go through a detox with some kind of, nutritionist and going through all of those. But the problem is it doesn't take care of the root problem, right? Yeah, all the elimination diets typically you'll figure out what triggers you for sure. But reintroducing them, that does not mean you're not going to react to them again.
Right.
For the most part, elimination diets really just help you to find out what you're triggered to. And then typically the approach is to, hey, let's eliminate this for the rest of your life or taking a very limited amount. So you're really not getting the health you really want. You're kind of like in a way almost more miserable in my opinion because there's so many things you can't. Um, but to actually to do that, and quite frankly, when you have sensitivities, is it's stress, certain kind of stress. When we talk about stress, we talk about what's like mental stress, our job, our marriages, our kids, and all finances and those kind of things. But there is a different, like another type of stress that our body doesn't, you don't pay a lot of attention to, is that our physical body has stresses too. When you're sick, that's a stress your body takes on. When you're injured, now it's another physical stress. Guess what? If you tore a ligament, now you need more protein and more collagen for that repair, and that repair is going to take 200 days, right? To fully recover, to build all those collagen back. And now that your body takes whatever your calories that your protein you take that is already limited and distributing some of that for this purpose. So that's a different stress that your body has. And or if you're taking medication, if you're going having surgeries, injuries, those kind of things, even traveling. So all of those stress happens inside your body, causes certain chemical biochemistry that is changing. So basically is that especially if you're doing a diet, you already don't have that income to sustain all of those growth. Your body naturally, when you have a stress trigger physically, Your body's supposed to take what you eat and distribute that to that purpose, to that repair purpose. And if you're in a diet, you don't have that budget for it. You really don't. So your body never really fully heals on a cellular level. And so therefore it causes more inflammation. So it's just chain reaction. However, nutrition is a big part of it. Increasing your neuroplasticity, because once you have that is under control, you actually have your rest and digest stage more often. Your body actually start lowering that inflammation stress lower. I've seen a lot of clients actually working on the neuroplasticity side of things, and they start seeing their food sensitivities start going away. And that's one part I don't think many programs out there are actually focusing on. So yes, eating certain foods will help you in the short term if you have sensitivities, but if you want to get rid of it, or if you really want to reverse that, you really have to spend a lot of time doing neuroplasticity, rewiring or repairing, for sure.
And when you say neuroplasticity, rewiring, repairing, are you talking about like more or less deconditioning yourself to being sensitive to those foods? Or are you talking about probably the stressor that maybe was the precursor to the gut going off the rails and causing the sensitivities in the first place?
Yeah. So any type of stress is actually related to your gut. It directly impacts how your guts digest nutrients and absorbing them and actually utilizing them. So there are really great books out there talking about the brain and gut connection. Right. So, if you do any kind of research, you probably just Google it. You'll probably find tons of books that are out there talking about the brain and gut connection. The brain connection is really, okay, if we put it into a simple term, is what we think on a daily basis is what triggers our nervous system. So our brain, in a way, does not distinguish what's reality and what is not. So let me give you an example. So if you're watching a scary movie, like a horror movie right now, what happens when you're so nervous and you're like, okay, my gosh, what is going to happen next? And you got scared and your heart rate raises, your blood pressure goes up, right? Your stomach is in a knot. And you're literally momentarily, you're at a flight or fight response, but you're not physically going through that experience. This is a movie. It's fabricated. It's not real, but what your brain perceives is a threat. Right. So when you think about this now, if right now, this is why meditations work, and I love meditation practices, but a lot of, where you actually think, if you're imagine yourself laying on a beach right now, your toes are in the sand, wiggling. You can feel that cool sand deep down, wiggling between your toes. And if you can feel the breeze at the beach and feel the sunlight on your skin, that warmth, and if you can hear your kids giggling and laughing, maybe even strangers, maybe seagulls, the sound of, and the waves. If you just did that and you're just laying there, immediately your belly expand, your heart rate comes down, right? So what you think, what you picture with your brain literally controls your biochemistry response. So when I say neuroplasticity really means your body you are going to deal with stresses on a daily basis, your work, your kids, and all of those things. It's there. You can't get rid of them, right? But when you are actually controlling the factors you can control, your body's supposed to go, okay, I'm super stressed, but my nervous system can pull my nervous system down to a rest and digest state. Your body should have that ability to do that. But if you're hypertension and hyper focused on the negative and the stress all the time, then you're stretching that elastic band. It constantly stays there. It doesn't bounce back. So neuroplasticity is your ability, your neural ability to bounce from stress level, how quickly it can calm down. Just imagine a lot of people familiar with your heart health, right? Part of your heart is okay, if I stress my heart out and going on a jog And how quickly can my heart recover?
Yeah.
Going from 160 beats a minute to 80 to 90. How quickly can you calm down? The quicker you can calm down, the healthier your heart really is. Your nervous system is the same. So when you're actually in the rest and digestive more frequently and longer, the better it is for your digestive system.
Makes sense.
So the goal is to, and you can start with just quickly coming back and do a quick mental meditation, like the beach. So just quickly imagine it. You can immediately feel the difference. And
Yeah.
so that's what you train. And when you're training your brain, you're literally training your digestive system, you're training your gut, you're training your body to not be so responsive to the food that triggers you. I've seen clients, working on reverse their sensitivity quite a bit. I used to have this huge patches of rashes grow on my body every time I'm stressed. And eating apples, I couldn't eat apples like at all because apples trigger me and I get like really bad allergy reactions. And now I'm able to eat apples. I don't have those patches anymore and has nothing to do with my food. Nothing to do with my food. It is all about mental capacity.
It's fascinating stuff. I definitely do believe that you can change those. And with my amount of sensitivities I get going on right now, I'm like, okay, clearly we've got some issues. And I know I'm not alone, so I like to share what's going on with me so that folks can kind of hear a little bit of the history there,
Yeah.
and maybe resonate. So for folks who are really kind of struggling with their weight and they're like, is your Body Academy something? Is the HD Body Academy something for me? How would I know? How can folks get in touch with you? Give us more in terms of how folks can maybe do a call with you. How does it work?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So I've, I can sympathize with your story and so many women's story. I've gone through it myself. So I really, really want to help everyone out there. So I'm going to give you a gift. Now you've listened to this episode towards, to the end. I want to give all of your listeners a My Metabolic Boost kit. So what this is usually for my paid clients and I don't give them out because there are a lot of my secrets, right? So here's the thing. This is really for the women, like you said, like, where do I start? How do I reverse my metabolism? How do I even know where I'm at? And I really want to get out of this, this stuck where I'm in the valley of despair. So if you just go to my Instagram, search for me, and my handle is Heather Deba, just at Heather Deba, how you normally spell Heather, Heather, and Deba, that's Deba. Again, that's Deba, Deba. So if you find me, send me a DM. We're about to go into a new year. Just text, mention the keyword new year, and I will send this kit personally to you, and I'll teach you how to use it. In that kit, not only explain how metabolism work, I teach step by step how to reverse your metabolism. I also have classes, on neuroplasticity. I will give you some brain exercise you can use when you're actually stressed and you just like want a quick fix. And also some things you can do in the long run to kind of bring you back that neuroplasticity back in the long run. So it's a really, really valuable tool that you can actually use and it's easy to use. So
Makes
yeah.
Sounds like it's got all the right things that folks are looking for. I'm gonna check it out myself for sure. And so that's
Sure.
on Instagram, Heather Deba. And then your website, how would folks find you there just to check that out?
Yeah, so if you want to, you can just message me because that's where I'm most active and message me and we can set you up on consultations. If you want to do a consultation with me and if you want to talk to my teams and coaches and things like that, we can definitely do that. So that's where it usually is the best place to get hold because there's so many sources and
Yeah.
platforms and I can, my mental capacity, I'm trying to balance. So that's really the best place to get hold of
Okay.
me. If you want anything, consultations, advice, just getting those kits and asking me any questions. And if you need to, we can set all of that up and you can connect with me personally.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, here's to keeping it simple. I highly,
Yeah.
highly recommend that, knowing, how it goes. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Heather, for coming on and giving us some really great answers and helping me to understand what might be going on with me as well.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully this is very helpful to your audience and to you as well. And looking forward to hear everybody's feedback and let me know how you're doing and ask me any questions you may have.
Thank you. I sincerely
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Hey, fellow health junkie, thanks for listening to the Health Fix podcast. If you enjoyed tuning in, please help support me to get the word out about the podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review, and just get that word out. Thanks again for listening.